Hi, I'm Akira.
And I'm Rohan Nahar.
Welcome to The Long Take. This week we're discussing the new James Cameron movie. Of course, it's called Avatar. It's the third one in the franchise. It's coming like 3 years after the last one. Surprisingly, it didn't take a decade. So I guess congratulations to everyone involved. Yeah, this is nowhere near on the level of the second one, which I think we remember both of us enjoying. What happened here?
Yeah, I think they did a Dhurandhar with this one, right? Where they didn't know where to cut the story and
What?
where to like this movie was supposed to be a single movie, and then they were like, "No, let's make two," and now it's just too long and there's too
Yeah,
much
like this feels like
information.
almost like an extended epilogue of the second one. Uh,
Uh, yeah,
so many things are being like revisited, rehashed. Like I love the water action sequence, which was like already like four sequences in one sequence in the second one. It was like it showed like like I think it came like that movie came a few months after the Ryan Coogler Black Panther one, second sequel, and I was like, oh, this is how you do a proper water sequence. And now I'm like, you are doing the same thing again, and this time your water sequence is terrible.
yeah. I mean, see, the water sequences, I was so mesmerized by in the second one that
Uh-huh.
I didn't mind. I was like, मुझे मुझे वही और दिखा दो ना, like और क्या ही, how can it be better, you know? Give me that like high frame rate, whatever, underwater diving and all that stuff. I really dug that. That and all the whale stuff. There's more whales here.
Hmm.
All of that really good. What I didn't, and I liked this movie mostly. Like for 2 hours, I was like on board. Right? I
No,
was,
no, I was I think out like within the first 30-35 minutes.
oh, that's painful then, because
Yeah.
then you have like 2.5 hours.
Yeah. I was like, what are these characters doing and why are they doing this? And why are they taking so long to do the same thing that they were doing before?
It was really weird because the movie, they do like some really wild stuff. Like Jake does some really wild stuff which you never see coming,
Hmm.
and it's completely like against him as the person that we've been introduced to.
Yeah.
Like he firstly it escalates, right? He's like, "Spider, go away.
Mm.
We will banish you."
Mm.
Which is like so weird because he's the family guy, right? We will protect everybody. He's protecting like random people he doesn't even know. But like Spider को वो फेंकने को तैयार है,
Mm.
which is so weird.
And then 10 seconds later, the kids are like, we will not like do this. This is insane. Like, we will not like, we just lost one of our like brothers, siblings. We're not like letting you do this. And then they're like, oh, okay, we just go send him off together. And everyone just agrees. And I was like, huh?
So it only happens to kind of start the
Move
movie,
the
right?
plot
Because
forward. Yeah.
it happens because then that's the only way James Cameron figured he could introduce the fire people
Yeah.
who show up like pirates in the middle. Like it's totally by chance that they show up,
Mm.
right? It's not like अगर मतलब वो एक दिन बाद निकलते, I don't know if the movie would have existed, you know?
I don't
I
know.
don't think there was.
Some like at least they were set up so that I bought because like the guy who's like taking off with them, he's like, please expect like readers, they've been getting more aggressive. So I was like, okay, they will expect readers, they get more aggressive. But I'm like, the level of aggression they showed. So if like Jake Sully and Neytiri were not with them, they would have been like massacred. How did these people get to the reef in the first place? Like how did the initial journey happen if the return journey is so tough?
Yeah, and it's so tough that matlab, Jake and who have beaten the Sky people like twice
Yeah,
before.
and they're like
Like,
nothing
can you
for that.
imagine?
Like they just like you could discard like nothing. Like, the entire like fleet comes down. I'm like, how are these guys trading anything? It's a total loss.
Which then begs the obvious question, like, where were these guys earlier,
Yeah, yeah. It
right?
feels like an invention, right? Like, it's almost like he's making up the story as he goes along, and you're like, oh no, that's actually what he's doing.
Which is like the Harry Potter thing, right? Where like book 5 में you're like, एक second, this existed the whole time? Why didn't you just come up with it? And you're like, yeah, she just came up with it. Anyway, so whatever, that's there again, like movie logic, whatever, move around, like, forget it. What is even wilder is when he's like, I will kill you. That was like, एक second,
Mm.
ये क्या हो रहा है?
Yeah.
Like Spider is that important where, so the whole trope of like Logan, Children of Men, Last of Us,
Mm.
the child has something like some superpower that can be harnessed.
Yeah. Either for like good or either for bad. But like
Yeah, to
the protagonist is like, I don't care what happens to the world, I will save this person.
yeah,
And that's
world
what
can go to him.
endears you to them, right? The stories you just mentioned, all of them, you're like, oh my God, like insane choice, but I love this guy.
इसमें वो उसको चाकू मारने लग जाता है यार. I thought he was doing
Yeah,
some
इसमें the guy is like seeing the bigger picture. He's like, no, wait, our planet is more important, so one kid can die. But I'm like, I don't actually care because I don't care about Pandora. I care about Spider because I see him all day.
Yeah, and so like so out of left field that till the very end when he's like, so Netiri is like saying whatever, and you buy that because she's always been a little suspicious of like
Because like
whatever.
I get that from her because she's has no like human connection directly, right? Like
And
that.
she says in like direct words, like I've lost everything,
Yeah.
right? Because of these people. So I can understand that you project that hate onto whoever looks like the people
Exactly.
that is, and the movie addresses that. The Jake very like in direct words says that, like you can't like get angry, you can't be hateful, all that stuff. And then uh he's like, I'll kill, and it's so unbelievable that even after he has pulled Spider into the forest to kill him, I have not believed it. I was like, नहीं नहीं ये तो बस कुछ और ये तो कुछ like they're gonna pull the rug from under our feet. Obviously, he's not gonna do that. So I mean, it's one of those things, right? A rapist is not someone who actually commits rape. He's the person who thinks about committing a rape. Like वो भी equally insane है, वो भी equally evil है. And a person who thinks about killing their whatever adopted child is weird.
Is insane that this is the protagonist of the movie.
Why did that happen? I don't know.
Yeah. And why did he like think about that for so long? It's not like he thought about it for 2 seconds and like, oh my god, what was I thinking?
It's so weird. And then she jumps in and she's like, नहीं नहीं मत मार.
But before that,
And
he
he's
already had the change of mind. So her arrival is almost like meaningless.
Yeah, the damage has been done, right?
Yeah.
Or like it's like one of the most epic kind of shoot yourself in the foot moments, like I think on a movie this size, right? Like why would you do this at this stage?
And I wouldn't mind if that actually was like a trigger to like essentially have like Spider be like, how the hell could you do that? I am like now leaving your side or something like that. But it's not like the movie goes there. No, he just like, oh, okay, never mind.
He literally says, "It's okay. I know I must die now and be one with Ava."
Ava, I'm not,
Or
stop talking in like lore. Talk as a human being. Dialogue is like so poor every 10 minutes that I was like, oh my god, I want to like I finally find the scriptwriter and like punch him in the face and be like, can you
it,
please go back and like redo it again?
yeah, I was like quite a strong whiff of George Lucas on this
Yeah,
one.
yeah. George Lucas some like episode 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, the prequels.
Yeah.
So I had like the opposite reaction. Like I was also like quite annoyed by the dialogue, and I was quite like pointedly noticing that acha James Cameron does not know jokes. We thought Christopher Nolan was bad at humor, but like he's actually better than James Cameron because there were so many moments where you're like, somebody needs to call out what's happening on screen so that they can wink at us or tell us that we're on the same page. Because in the end, so much like you remember the scene where like Jake is like in some cage in front of like a viewing public, and
Yep.
then 4 independent missions are staged to break him out.
Yep.
All 4, none of them have contacted each other, and it's just 4 happening simultaneously.
Spider has escaped from the lab and he's just hanging out in public in front of everyone.
Yeah, barely disguised. And then,
And disguise like what? Nothing. There's no disguise.
yeah, Netiri is coming, and then the random person out of nowhere that
Yeah, I love
biologist
so
dude.
Nidhi's entrance. Like they are at this point, they do not give any like care of like how they stage a break in, right? Because it's like these guys are allowed in. So that's crazy that College can just bring in his new Ash people buddies and they come into the base of humans and they're like, yeah, you just hold on to your weapons. And I'm like, what? No, that would never happen. They would be asked to surrender all of their weapons. So that's crazy. One. Secondly, they're allowed to go in and come out whenever they want. So some of them go out again because that's how Netiri is able to like capture one of them and get the badge that she needs, all important badge. And she just casually then strolls into the base. I'm like, are we in like 1970s James Bond territory now?
Isn't the stupidest thing is like so I get it when they do it once, but when they do it 3 times, when Jake and Quaritch kind of team up.
Yeah. Forget
And
that.
then
Like before that, there is again like Netari, the way that she comes in, they also leave the same way. Like literally, everyone's after them. There's like a giant helicopter, like after like Spider and Jake, and Netari then comes in, takes out the helicopter, and she just disappears on the base. Then next shot, they jump cut to like morning, and I'm like, but how did they escape the base? That's the all important thing here.
वो डिज्नी ने बोला प्लीज काट दो सर, में
Already
2
आपका
शोज
movie
ही
3.5 घंटे हो गया है.
हाँ 2 शोज हो रहे हैं, पैसे नहीं कमाएंगे.
Oh my
It's one of those things, right? Like it's like Marines honor briefly, we will not kill each other.
Yeah.
I was like, "Ek second, you guys were literally trying to kill each other." Like, I would not be that honorable. Like, if I
They have
wanted to kill
teamed up like 4 times in this movie, 20 seconds after they were trying to kill each other.
yeah, I don't buy it. See, I don't buy it at all. If you do it once, then they have to be teammates for the entire movie. They can't just keep going back and forth.
Yeah, it
You
can't.
know, and it's like one of those obvious like writing choices. Like I'm like, एक second, तो अगर उसने decide कर दिया है कि हम briefly अपना truce call करेंगे,
Yeah.
then you can't go back on it, right? The more interesting thing is for them to kind of team up and then him having a
Yeah, like
not
show the moral like quandary of like Quaritch being like, actually, like this is insane. I care about Spider more about than like the entire like human population. Like it's so that thing, but they're not really pushing into that. Like everyone keeps reverting back to that programming of like, oh no, but I am in this alliance. Screw your alliance.
yeah. And similarly, like would have been more interesting, like the four independent rescue missions that I was talking about. It would have been more interesting for them to kind of by chance collide,
Yeah.
and all four of them to be like, "एक second, you're also doing the same thing."
Yeah, that would be so much.
That
That's insanely. First, it would be funny. Then
yeah,
you would
which
get to see a team up sequence of like them coordinating and doing this properly because it is actually an insane thing that you need like to get him out of this thing where he's surrounded by everyone. Like that would need a coordinated effort. So they would be great on that level, and then you would get like extended sequence of like a prison break thing. But no, let's just like make it happen.
also on like a thematic level, right? Because he is like some sort of spiritual leader
Exactly.
to people, and for him to inspire multiple characters to rescue him
From all sides.
independently.
Like the guy does it, like Jim and Clement does it. Basically, he's a plot device because he's not important in the movie before that scene, and he's not present in the movie after that scene. So I'm like, your entire point in the movie from 3 hour 20 of the movie for like 5 minutes is to ride one bulldozer and get him out.
Yeah,
And he's like,
the
yes, I
previous
will
one
go
when
out,
that
come in.
yeah, it's like 6 hours a movie. He exists only for this.
This
It's
is crazy.
strange because like the Michelle Rodriguez character did similar stuff in the first movie,
Yeah.
but she was a presence throughout the movie. She didn't just show up at the end,
Yeah.
right? Which is, I mean, the same person made both movies. I don't
Yeah,
understand.
I don't understand. That's what. Like, how can you? This same guy actually shot these movies like back to back so that the kid actors wouldn't age too much, right? So this movie has been in the can for like some 4 years, I think.
By the way, like it, it- in the same movie, a 70-year-old is playing a 13-year-old, so it doesn't matter.
Which has been now been like canonically justified, right? So like you can't fight that anymore. But yeah, the problem is how can he? This guy who made like the same movie just like cut into two parts because it was too long. Like this first half is so great, and the second half is like, eh.
I don't know. I think there's also like someone needs to come in and be like, "Sir, ab thoda zyada ho raha hai." Like,
But
I understand that you
I
have
don't think he allows that, right? I think like James Cameron is like in his own island making these movies. No one
he's
from Disney ever
famously
visits him unless they are like,
yeah.
sir, kal final cut aa raha hai. Like, okay, theek hai, we will screen it.
Yeah. I mean, famously egotistical
Yeah, it's like that
as
level of
well.
control now. Like it's like pre-production, production, everything he has final cuts to say on.
Yeah. But you know, like you watching this movie, you can tell like there's too much, like there's too many threads that you can't resolve satisfactorily. Like there's the Kiri thing that comes out of nowhere.
Like
She's
killing,
sort of
like we get intermission in India. So like the scene that happens with at Varang's base when the Quaritch visits them to like get them on their side, and then she does the whole like drug scene inside the tent. I was like, that scene needs to come 60 minutes before. That scene,
arguably the only interesting bit of the movie is the weird horny stuff that they get up to.
yeah, that scene needs to happen like in the first 20 minutes because you need to establish how this character is going to be the new villain. And you're doing this way too late. And I don't care why, like, you suddenly have this, like, essentially new, like, faction that is going to
Mm.
play, like, issues and everything. Like, there's a seem like another, like, tool in Quaritch's, like, thing and not expansive. Like, that's what I loved about the first to the second movie is that you introduced me to a new part of the planet. You jumped, like, so much that time that you could expand and introduce an entire new family. There was enough to like, latch on to like, okay, I'm learning new things on the person side, new things on the planet side, new things on like the human side. And this just feels like, oh, we just took one more step out of the house. And I'm like, I just saw this 3 years ago.
Also, like after the first 30 minutes or whatever, the emotional toll of having lost a son isn't felt. Like I feel that should be hanging over the
Yeah, that
entire
should be the
movie.
drive-through of the entire movie.
Yeah, as opposed to sometimes, taking up arms is okay, which I feel is the ultimate message that the movie kind of lands on, which is also like weird in its own way. Like it goes again.
They're convinced way too soon. They're convinced way too soon. They're convinced way too easily. I think eventually the Tulkun to like just become like violent now. Like the entire time they're like, no, no, we won't do anything.
But it's not just the Tulkun, right? It's also the Navi. We're forgetting that
Yeah.
when we were introduced to these people,
These were
they
the
were
these-
saying sorry, like literally saying sorry to like a Janwar for hurting the
Yeah.
Janwar. Like, oh,
Because this
sorry.
is why they also refuse to touch like metal weapons, eh? Because they're like, no, this is like way too like easy. Like this is how you end up with like mass killings.
Yeah, it goes again, like every character, it kind of goes against what they are fundamentally or what they were fundamentally introduced. This is not just character development,
Yeah.
it just goes against who they are. Like, it's not a bad person turning worse or a good person becoming
Which is why I
better.
think eventually what happens is like this is you can tell this is an American at some level making this movie because he's just bringing his mindset and like forgetting the people or the culture he created.
Which is ironic because he wants to. The first two movies are all about highlighting how that is more important
Yeah.
than what we think is important. Like Western culture feels the dominant culture, but it might not be because. And the movie was very critical of like America, about
Yeah.
American foreign policy.
Yeah. Like the first movie is literally the Iraq War.
Yeah, and the second movie is fully like, so even I would argue this movie ka first half ish is very critical of, like, it's critical of the oppressor, right? It's critical of the invader, and
Yeah.
America is the invader in virtually every global conflict.
Mhm.
So it is very self-aware in that sense. But then when you turn the oppressed into versions of the oppressor, then you're kind of going against the very nature of the story that you're telling, right? Because who's to know that tomorrow Jake Sully ka whatever team of Navi won't fight the fire people and make
Yeah,
them
and it's like
sleep.
it's so annoying also because their motivation isn't really established. Like, why is Varang doing it beyond the point of oh she wants like power on some level?
She's
And then
angry at Ava for not, I don't know.
yeah, so essentially she's taking out
Someone,
their anger on like other people of like of her kind.
yeah.
So essentially, it's like she started a civil war on some level. But I don't feel that like motivation enough. It just feels like you've handed the humans like more allies.
Yeah, I mean, Kiri is also angry at Ava, right?
Yeah.
But then Kiri, I don't know if the movie is trying to do this deliberately. Like, both of them are kind of questioning their faith, but then one kind of understands it on a deeper level, and the other one has kind of renounced it, and they are evil for doing that. I don't know, because then I don't know where Varang goes at the end. Like, that's a big hole in my mind. Like, I don't know what happens to her, and she doesn't die.
She just escaped.
She just
Like they're trying to like at the
disappeared
yeah.
from the movie.
Like conveniently keeping her alive for like the next two parts if they want to bring her back.
I don't know what happens to Payakan. Maybe he's dead, maybe he's not. I don't know.
Yeah, I also love how like the Payakan can like the elder, like, all those elders show up to like start the kick off the fight, and because then they want the Ash people to take over in the fight and change the narrative, the big dudes just like disappear mid fight.
And somebody says it, right? कि वो गायब हो गया.
Yeah, I'm like, but they were just here toppling ships. Where are they now?
Yeah, it's very confusing. And in the like towards the end, though, इतना ज़्यादा fighting हो रहा था, इतना ज़्यादा things हो रहा था. There was so much like stuff on screen.
Yeah.
Where I'm wondering if, like, so people complain that the Russo brothers can't frame a shot, but Cameron was always supposed to be the guy who knows how to design an action sequence.
Which is
Like,
literally what we
wasn't-
praised him for like 3 years ago in Avatar 2. Is like, oh my god, we like you could tell the choreography and like I knew what the setting was like. You know, this was the fighting. They laid out the stage of like, oh, this is where the everything was. This is the objective. Like I think the second movie is very like, even though it's expansive, it knows it has like a straight line through that this is what one side is trying to achieve. This is what the other side is trying to achieve, and we can go towards those goals. यहाँ पे the motivations are so weird and they keep changing as we've talked about with Quaritch and like Jake every 10 minutes. Is that you just like in your mind you're confused like in this scene what is X party trying to achieve? I have no idea anymore.
Yeah. It's also like Jake is supposed to be the protector, right? The silent, stoic protector. But then he gets so nervous about letting Loak do anything, like take responsibility in the first half of the movie. Like, he's like, नहीं तू यहाँ बैठ के अपने sisters को protect करेगा. You won't move. You're not ready.
Yeah, at the same time he will complain when he doesn't wear his like comms and be like, why were you not in the air when I called you? So like it's always very confusing where he doesn't want him to pass him and doesn't wants him to participate.
No, worse, right? Because in the second half, he's like, oh, so you want to go and like go on a dangerous mission in the ocean to find Payakan? Good luck. Bye bye. Why is he not worried sick the whole time? He's he's in actual peril. Loak is, you know, like we see that sea sequence where he's like almost drowning and stuff, almost dead. अगर उसके दोस्त नहीं आते वो मर वर जाता.
Yeah.
But we don't cut back to like what Jake Sully kind of being worried out of his mind. Oh my God, my other son is gone. You know, even though that's what he's supposed to be most concerned about, like protecting family. How are you allowing your son to go on like this
Yeah,
side
not
quest?
like years after like the second movie. This is like probably few weeks or months after.
It's insane. Like, it doesn't make sense for Jake to be like, हाँ ठीक है तू जा. It doesn't make sense for Neytheri to be like, हाँ ठीक है तू जा. अपना तू side quest कर क्या. It doesn't make sense only, it makes sense only when you're like, oh, so of course the whales need to be summoned and this guy needs to be the one who does the summoning so that the father learns to respect him.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why this entire 2 hour thing is happening.
Movie is so lost.
I was so confused by the end because they kept cutting to people just so that they could like declare what they were doing. like, like हम 2 सेकंड के लिए कट करें to the kids and they're going to declare कि अभी हम ये करने वाले हैं. Then we cut back to those people. Then Quaritch is fighting again. Then Quaritch dies for no reason. I don't know if he's dead or because we don't see him dead.
Yep.
So unless we've seen him.
Like this is the whole like Marvel has this problem as well. Now even Avatar has a problem. Like you want the gravitas of killing a character and audience to feel that, but then you also like want to cheat death and then bring them back potentially back if you want later.
So now he's walking back, right? He's saying that he doesn't want to do more, right?
Which is like
So,
I think he always had to like undersell these things, and the moment the movie touches like 1 or 1.5 billion, then he'll like, oh great, look at what I delivered.
I'm the greatest acting of the world.
Yeah, this is a guy who like won his Oscar. He literally declared that on the Oscar stage. So like, what do you expect from him?
ये करता तो है. That's true. He does that. I don't know if he means it this time.
Yeah, but at the same point, like you were discussing, like talking about how he's like betraying with the whole like Navi thing is set up, and I feel like he's also like given up things that he himself had like put in early on in terms of even like mainstream appeal. So this movie, the first movie, the Navi exclusively talk in their language, right? So Jake Sully is the outsider. He has to like learn their language, not just their culture, but the language is still. And the movie has a lot of subtitles and all of that. In this one, he just gives that up. Everyone's talking English.
No, but in the second movie, they kind of explain in a very, I thought, efficient way, right? Where Jake Sully basically says that, listen, everybody is talking in their native language, but I understand it now. So because I understand it, the audience understands it.
But what if Jake Sully is not in the scene?
I mean, you're right, but
It's like this
they do have
Quaritch talking to you like
weird of
Varang, and I'm like, why is this scene in English at this point? But then when Quaritch and Varang reach like the base, and they're actually talking in two languages because you can tell because when Quaritch talks to the general, Varang can't understand that. But I'm like, they're both talking in English, but okay, one English is not like the other English.
Yeah. And then Jake and Quaritch also talk in English, and then they switch to Navi. See, this is ये सब मैं नहीं सोच रहा. ये मैं सोचने लग जाऊंगा तो मेरा brain टूट जाएगा. So I don't even go there.
Yeah, but I think this is basically like another symptom of like how little like the West or Americans like want to read subtitles. So eventually, every filmmaker will give up things like this they've built in their world just to appeal to like the masses.
Hey, at least the whale had subtitles.
Only when they choose to, and then sometimes they have subtitles. And sometimes like the leader of the reef like will translate. And I'm like, why are you talking? I can just get subtitles right now.
Everybody. And I don't know, like is like the leader the only person who can understand the whales?
I have no idea. Like sometimes they'll do like hand signals for some of the whales. Some of the whales they don't need hand signals, and I'm like confused. I'm like some of them are like deaf, some of them are not deaf.
No, if we are going to go down this road, the whales also have like clothes.
That was insane to me. The whales have like chains and chains, but they have like banners, and I'm like, how does this work when you're underwater? You don't get strangled by your own banner.
And who made it?
This is a question you do not want to ask because the movie examines.
So we don't go there. Don't want to ask these questions. मेरे को पहले तो लगा कि is chains as in like the sky people sort of one.
Yeah, but I really don't know the chains are like the chains of like power. Like they've self-constructed the chains to show it's like standing.
They don't have opposable thumbs, but they have their jewelry. I don't know how that works. It's one of those things where James Cameron was like, you won't ask these questions, you just roll with it.
Yeah.
But then because the movie doesn't work for us, and now we're
yeah.
like, I'm sure
all of this. Yeah.
I'm sure this stuff was there in the second and the first one also, but nobody cared about it. But this one, you're like, एक second, क्या हो रहा है?
Where does this franchise go from here? Like, also what I love is that these some like at least the first two, like we don't know about this one, but the first two movies are like the top two grossing movies in the top whatever 3 or 5 of all time, right? Like cinema history, all of that. So they're popular movies, but somehow they are like culturally irrelevant. Like no one will come up to you and talk about Avatar ever.
That's weird, right? Nobody does that, but then everybody seems to watch these movies. Like, I like there are full like uncle aunties coming to watch these movies. Like, it's
Right.
I
So like,
think
how is a kind of franchise be so popular at one level and then also be so unpopular at the same time?
so Cameron had a very it made sense. The answer to that is that there is no additional media to support the franchise. It's just the movies. So
But
it's
that
not
doesn't
like
happen with like stuff like I don't know, like Nolan's Dark Knight. But like someone will bring it up like at least once a year.
yeah, but then you Batman is like a constant presence, right? Whereas this exists only in the movies and nothing else. So you have nothing else to kind of drive that conversation.
Sure. But I think the other issue is like it's also like not distinct enough. Like the movie starts, like now I know because I just spent 3 hours with them. And then when the movie starts, all I remember is Jake and Neytiri's names. I could not remember any of the kids what they were called until then.
I remembered
What said out loud. I'm like, oh, okay, Loak and Kiri. Okay, I had no idea.
so that smartly what he does is like initially for the first hour he has everybody repeat names loudly over and over.
Yeah, because you know, like no one's gonna remember.
Yeah. Even though I remembered like Spider, I remembered Paya Khan, I remembered Nityam, the kid who dies.
No, did not remember. All I remember was like Jake and Niteri and everything. When they started they talking, I was like, okay, I had a faint memory of like this, but if you had asked me before the movie, was like, what are the kids called? Like pop quiz, I could not have not done it.
Possible, yeah. Which is why I suppose, has everybody like call people by their names over and over again.
Yeah, but at least 3 years or whatever, 4 years, like they do the another movie, and you ask me like, what is the Ash person called, like leader called? I would not be able to tell it. Like you could give me 5 guesses, and I would not be able to get it.
I forgot Abhi when we were making notes. I forgot the name.
No, Abhi, I remember. Like I think I'll remember like maybe until like a few weeks. If you keep asking me, then now because I've told myself now I'll consciously remember. But if you just ask me randomly 3 years out of the blue and Avatar 4 drops, I'll be like, no idea.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things. It feels very like up in the air,
But that like
right?
doesn't happen when I say like there's not been a new Mandalorian season for like ages, but I know the guy is called Grogu.
Yeah. I don't know. That's one of those weird conversations where you're like, yeah, we'll check back in when you're ready.
Yeah, but
Like,
like otherwise you have no staying power.
I don't know. Like honestly, for maybe like it's very difficult to predict how things are going to be. But like it is a very like nobody has done this. Like there are things that I saw in these three movies that I've never seen before, right? And the leaps and bounds, like even between movies, like the quality of the water
Yeah.
is
Especially the first and second movie, the leap is insane.
the leap is insane. This one and the second one feel a little like similar.
Yeah.
But like the Varang character, there were scenes in which we had like close-ups of her, and I could have sworn that was just makeup. Like you can't tell it's digital.
Yeah, like all the VFX stuff with like the motion capture stuff is now so good that I think it took me like 2 hours and I was like, wait, they're not actually blue people. Like this is done in computers.
Yeah, like everything is in the computers, right?
Yeah.
Nothing is real. And like that person, you could see like the pose on their skin and that stuff wasn't. Maybe it was just the IMAX that I was watching. It was very good. But I don't know if it was there in the first one. Definitely, like you.
Yeah, first
Like,
one I think was like definitely outdated from like now, but like a second, like the huge jump with like all the water stuff you mentioned. This now the skin stuff is so real, you forget that this is not actually human beings being shot.
yeah, the skin is really good in this, and skin and water, I think, are really leaps.
And that like helps you sell it so much that you forget. You actually feel like you are on Pandora.
Which is, yeah, when it's good, right? These movies like that, even this
Immersion
movie also.
is top notch. It just he needs to allow some external like writing. Like let's just pay someone. Like you have no endless people who are like good writers. Like give it to like Craig Mazin or something. The fourth one. Like let him write some.
हाँ, it's not like तेरा खुद का पैसा थोड़ी है कि तेरे को देना है, वो स्टूडियो का पैसा है.
Like just get like an army of like rewrites.
Which I think he has, right? He has like a writer's room and all he set up for the scene.
Yeah, but clearly not like enough to like take the top credit because like he's involved in top credit.
He's also credited for editing this time.
Amazing.
He's like a Vanga.
Yeah. At this point, like it's full too much control.
But yeah, I don't know. It feels like the ending of this movie felt very abrupt to me. I don't know where.
Yeah, that's one thing. I can't figure out like where it'll go. Like it's almost like it's like a soft reset at this point. And he needs another, like, you jump 10 years because anyway he'll end up jumping 10 years because everyone will have grown older by the time he shoots the next one.
I suppose like Spider is supposed to be the next hero.
But you need someone
Because
to like bridge the gap between the two races.
वो एंड तो ऐसे होता है ना, उसको अनॉइंट कर रहे होते हैं जैसे जेक सली वाज अनॉइंटेड इन द फर्स्ट वन. So that's what but I really doubt that there'll be more though of these movies.
I think that's like one thing I don't put past Cameron, that because he just has that weight in the industry. Like even if this movie does not do 2 billion, when he can get another made. It all depends on whether he wants to make
And if he stays alive,
that too. And the only thing is because he will have to make. Like it's not like if he walks away, he won't allow someone else to make this.
yeah,
This franchise lives and dies with him.
yeah. I mean Terminator, we've seen what happened to that one. They have a Terminator reference in this one though, quite obviously.
But yeah, he has allowed other people to do that, and that franchise has gone to the dogs.
Yeah. And he's famously fought with them also. So I don't know. I don't really. Yeah, we'll think about it a decade later, I guess. We'll go back to regularly scheduled programming, which is never thinking about these movies.
Exactly. And then we're like, what was the third kid in the row called? Tuk.
Took, who has like a different name. I realized Took is not her. Yeah, Took
So
is.
she's like just shortened. The full name, which the grandmom pronounces. I'm like, oh, okay, ये नाम है इसका.
Bro, और क्यों confuse कर रहे हो यार? अभी बस सीखा था.
You know by Avatar 5, Tuk के बच्चे होंगे.
Oh my god. And Kiri will be like living on some like Luke Skywalker or something.
Yeah.
I mean, see, to your point, like this movie doesn't have like that strong cultural kind of fandom. Is that if this was Star Wars, then supposedly the fans of this franchise would be aghast. Like they would be up in arms over what Jake Sully does in this movie, more than what they were over Luke Skywalker and like the Ryan
But wait,
Johnson.
there's no one who's obsessed enough to like make those conversations happen, which is why this movie just disappears from like cultural when like a few months after release. No one feel as strongly to be like, hey, but what about that?
Yeah, I was quite like disheartened, especially because it's like really long also.
I mean, I think even the second one was long, but then I didn't mind it because it was enjoyable, which this one was not on the same level anywhere near close. Yes, yeah, yep. That's all for this episode of The Long Take. You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Threads at The Long Take Pod. You can write to us at thelongtakepod@gmail.com. Please leave us a rating and a review wherever you episode, and we will see you next week. Thanks for listening. Bye.